as well?
The FBI will meet with anyone who has new information.
Will you personally meet with them?
The FBI and the professionals who are handling the cases will.
Were you instructed that it was important to release the documents to the Oversight Committee on the day of my introduction of the discharge petition to release these files?
I don't know what day that was, so no.
Well, they were released that day, and there were victims' names who weren't redacted because they were in such a rush, and the victims are not happy about that. Have you investigated any of the CIA connections? Have you seen the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein? And if you wanted to see it, would they show it to you?
Well, I can speak for the FBI, and that's presuming there's a CIA case file. And I've reviewed everything that the interagency, not I, the FBI, that was provided to us.
Would you be willing to look at the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein?
If there is such a file, and if it has not already been turned over to the FBI will look at any new investigative leads.
Have you made any progress on the pipe bomb investigation January 6th? And have you made any progress on the motive of the Las Vegas shooter?
As to the first, it's an ongoing investigation, and we have made progress. As to the second, sir, I'll have to get back to you.
All right, thank you. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous
Gentleman
consent
yields
request.
back. Unanimous consent request from the gentleman from New York.
I ask unanimous consent to introduce an unsigned memorandum from July 7, 2025 that says we did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against
13 minutes ago, in a packed House Oversight hearing room, Thomas Massie sent shockwaves through every FBI field office in America. The Kentucky congressman placed a manila folder on his desk with such precision that every camera focused on it. The folder was thick, bulging with documents marked with red classification strips. FBI Director Kash Patel, sitting confidently moments before, watched with growing unease. His practiced composure began showing cracks. Because Massie doesn't bring props unless he's about to destroy someone's career with evidence. The hearing was supposed to be routine FBI budget oversight, standard Washington theater where Republicans would praise Patel and Democrats would press on civil liberties. Patel arrived at 2:15 p.m., flanked by 3 attorneys with pre-approved talking points. His opening statement was smooth, confident, hitting notes about security and transparency. For the first hour, everything proceeded according to script. Republicans asked softball questions about counterterrorism and border security. Patel delivered polished responses, citing statistics. His answers were precise, bureaucratic, revealing nothing while appearing transparent. Democratic members tried standard attacks about controversial firings and political interference. But Patel deflected with ease, invoking ongoing investigations and security protocols. He was in control, running out the clock. Then at 3:47 p.m., Chairman James Comer recognized Massie. The room's energy shifted because observers know Massie's reputation. Unlike members who grandstand, Massie asks surgical questions backed by preparation. When he brings documents, careers end. Massie opened his folder with theatrical slowness, red markings visible to cameras. He pulled out a sheet showing FBI letterhead and stamps, then placed it face down. Director Patel, Massie began, his Kentucky accent calm. I want to discuss FBI document preservation protocols regarding high-profile criminal investigations with security implications. Patel shifted slightly, his first sign of discomfort. Of course, Congressman. FBI maintains rigorous document preservation standards in federal law enforcement. Excellent, Massie replied. And there was something in that word that made everyone understand they were about to witness something unprecedented. So you would agree that deliberate destruction of classified investigative materials would constitute serious violation of federal law? Patel nodded, still projecting confidence he would lose within minutes. Absolutely. Such actions would be unacceptable and would result in termination and prosecution. Massie flipped over his document with surgical precision. Director Patel, are you familiar with FBI Internal Investigation Report Number 2IR 2025-847, completed by Professional Responsibility on January 15th? Color began draining from Patel's face. His left hand moved toward his water glass, indicating stress. Congressman, without reviewing the document, I cannot comment on internal reports. Let me refresh your memory, Massie interrupted, gaining an edge that cut through tension. This report documents systematic document destruction within FBI headquarters between November 2024 and January 2025. Specifically, permanent deletion of 847 classified files related to Epstein investigation. The impact was instantaneous. Patel's composure cracked visibly. His mouth opened, then closed without sound. His lawyers leaned forward simultaneously, revealing preparation for this moment. But their client was freezing under pressure. The report states, Massie continued, reading directly, that between November 15th and December 20th, 2024, someone with director-level access systematically deleted classified materials, including 234 witness transcripts, 412 financial summaries, and 201 photographic pieces, all related to ongoing investigations into individuals connected to Epstein. Patel's breathing became visibly rapid, every camera capturing the pattern. His hands trembled as he reached for water, tremor so pronounced that water sloshed. Congressman, Patel managed, barely recognizable, I would need to review technical details of any alleged data management issues. Technical details? Massie's voice rose with incredulity. Director Patel, this isn't about technical issues. This is about deliberate destruction of evidence in federal criminal investigation. He pulled out a second document. Let me read you something from this report. The deletion activities were performed using FBI Director Authorization Code FD 2024 Patel during after-hours periods when minimal staff were present. Deleted materials were identified through backup recovery systems, but original files remain permanently inaccessible due to military-grade deletion protocols. Massie set the document down and stared at Patel. Director, military-grade deletion protocols aren't used for routine data management. They're used when someone wants to ensure information can never be recovered. The room fell into complete silence. 20 seconds of absolute quiet where only sounds were camera shutters and nervous coughing in press gallery. Patel sat frozen, unable to formulate any response that wouldn't constitute confession or obvious lie. But Massie wasn't finished. He pulled out a third document with different letterhead. This is a memorandum from FBI Deputy Director Sarah Chen, dated December 22, 2024. She wrote this after discovering systematic deletions. He began reading clearly. Director Patel, I am formally documenting my concerns regarding unauthorized deletion of Epstein-related materials. These files contained critical evidence, including witness testimony identifying multiple high-profile individuals connected to trafficking operations. Destruction may constitute obstruction of justice. Massie looked up. Director Patel, your deputy director accused you of obstruction in writing. She documented that you destroyed evidence identifying high-profile individuals connected to child trafficking. How do you respond? Patel's face had gone completely white, all color drained away. His hands shook visibly as he attempted another drink, but miscalculated distance and water spilled onto his shirt and witness table. The moment was captured by every camera angle, visual representation of complete loss of composure. Congressman, Patel stammered, his voice cracking, there may have been misunderstandings about routine archival procedures and data management protocols that don't reflect full context of standard FBI operations. Massie pulled out his most devastating document, a thin sheet with official Department of Justice letterhead and multiple signature lines. Director Patel, this is whistleblower complaint filed with DOJ Inspector General on January 8, 2025. Filed by FBI Special Agent Rebecca Martinez, 15-year Bureau veteran. He began reading the complaint, each word landing like a physical blow. Special Agent Martinez states that she personally witnessed Director Patel accessing classified Epstein investigation files on evening of November 18, 2024. She observed him reviewing materials for approximately 40 minutes before initiating deletion protocols. When she questioned Director about deletions, he informed her that files posed unacceptable political complications for administration. The phrase hung in air like smoke after an explosion. Political complications, not national security concerns, not investigative integrity, not witness protection. Political complications. Agent Martinez's complaint continues, Massie read, building momentum. Deleted files contained photographic evidence showing multiple prominent political figures at Epstein's residences. Photographs were authenticated by FBI forensics and corroborated by witness testimony. Director Patel stated that releasing this evidence would create unsurmountable political problems and ordered permanent destruction of all related materials. Patel tried to stand, his chair scraping loudly against the floor, but his legs seemed unsteady. His lead attorney, a gray-haired man in his 60s, placed a restraining hand on Patel's arm and whispered urgent advice. But Patel seemed incapable of processing anything beyond the catastrophic exposure of his actions. "Congressman," Patel began, his voice barely above a whisper, "these allegations are completely without merit and represent a fundamental mischaracterization of standard FBI procedures and protocols that are designed to protect ongoing investigations and national security interests." Massie stood up, which almost never happens in congressional hearings. Standing up means a member isn't just asking questions anymore. They're making a statement that will define their career. "Director Patel," Massie said, his voice carrying absolute moral authority, "let me be crystal clear about what the evidence shows. You systematically destroyed 847 classified files containing evidence of crimes against children. You deleted witness testimony identifying powerful individuals connected to Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking operation. You did this not for national security reasons, not to protect ongoing investigations, but because the evidence was politically inconvenient." He pointed directly at Patel. "You took an oath to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. Instead, you protected criminals because they were politically connected. That isn't law enforcement, Director. That's conspiracy." Patel sat motionless, unable to respond, his career dissolving in real time. His lawyers weren't passing notes or whispering advice. They knew there was no defense for documented evidence of obstruction of justice. Massie returned to his seat but wasn't finished. He pulled out one final document, and this one changed everything. "Director Patel, do you recognize this name?" He held up a photograph along with an FBI witness statement. Maria Santos, 19 years old when she was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. She provided detailed testimony to the FBI in 2019, including photographic evidence and names of 6 men who assaulted her. Massie's voice carried genuine emotion for the first time. Maria Santos waited 4 years for justice. She cooperated fully with the FBI investigation. She was brave enough to identify her abusers and provide evidence that could have led to prosecutions. And you, Director Patel, deleted her testimony because convicting her abusers would be politically complicated. The room was absolutely silent because this wasn't about bureaucratic procedures anymore. This was about a teenage trafficking victim whose testimony was destroyed to protect powerful men. "Director Patel," Massie said quietly, "I'm going to ask you one final question, and I want you to look directly at the cameras when you answer because Maria Santos is watching, and thousands of other survivors are watching, and the American people are watching." He paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. "Why did you decide that protecting powerful criminals was more important than giving Maria Santos justice?" Patel had no answer, no deflection, no bureaucratic escape route. He just sat there, visibly trembling, his face pale and drawn, completely unable to explain why he had destroyed evidence of crimes against children to protect politically connected individuals. The hearing devolved into procedural chaos after that, but none of it mattered. Within minutes, video clips of Patel's complete breakdown were trending worldwide. FBI Director destroys evidence to protect Epstein conspirators became the top story on every network. Legal experts called it the most damning congressional testimony in modern history. But the most important moment came when Massie closed his folder and made one final statement. These documents will be transmitted to the Department of Justice for immediate criminal prosecution. Director Patel, you are no longer just a failed FBI director. You are now a documented participant in obstruction of justice regarding crimes against children. Thomas Massie had walked into that hearing room with 847 pages of evidence and exposed the most brazen cover-up in FBI history. Sometimes accountability requires nothing more than a prepared congressman, documented proof, and courage to ask questions with no acceptable answers. Within hours, Patel's resignation was inevitable. Not because of political pressure, but because documented evidence proved he had systematically destroyed evidence to protect child traffickers. Maria Santos, after waiting years for justice, finally had someone fighting for her. The manila folder became a symbol of what happens when truth confronts power backed by undeniable evidence. Thomas Massie hadn't just exposed corruption, he had proven that no one, regardless of position or connections, is above the law when evidence is clear and courage exists to present it.